Good morning and welcome to the allotment in the field. It's a very early morning call today on Saturday as we are off to Hampton Flower Show, but I thought it was a time for the allotment tour. You probably can see Ace there in the distance. Nigel is feeding him. It's about 6:30 in the morning. He's having his fly mask on, looking a little bit like a zebra. And let me show you what has changed. So here we start by the entrance. I'm pleased to say that my dahlias are looking good. These are the ones which overwintered, and yes, they're coming across now. Some of them started flower early, some of them not. This is the first zinnia flowering which I grew from seeds. The cosmos is just starting as well, and some anthuriums. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I might be slightly off. Behind that, obviously what happens to Angelica is got a 2-year lifespan, is biannual, so it flowered this year and is past now. This is right here we have a couple of courgettes. We have been harvesting that one already, had a couple of big courgettes from that, and this one must be the Romanesco because you can see the stripy ones, so that is coming along nicely too. Behind here we've got the French beans, and I had two varieties and one of them is doing better than the other, and I can't remember what that was, but it's some sort of pumpkin. And you can see we still have from last year some sunchokes, the Jerusalem artichokes coming across. Well, the biggest change at the allotment, beside the water, which is, as people say, is life, we have the new polytunnel. And I don't know if you can see that well. It's been finished and is currently housing some of our tomatoes and peppers and melons, and I dare say my melons are puny comparing to others, but now that they have a proper home, they were standing outside, I will have to sort them out next week and give them some support and put them in a proper places. Well, there is still some attachments to be done on the bottom, that's why they're all standing here right in the middle. But the tomatoes are doing fine, and the overwintered pepper, these are the only one which survived this year after a green fly attack. Well, they're recovering and they're just starting to flower and so on. So that's the new poly, and I can't tell you how pleased I am with that. Now, it's a little bit difficult to show because behind the horse box, which is all covered in loganberry and tiberry and blackberry, we have, I don't know if you can see that, these are all pumpkins and squashes, and they're climbing the fencing and they're also going across. So the fruit is forming. I will show that maybe from the other side better because I haven't got suitable attire and it's quite neatly there, so I don't want to get stung a lot. This morning there's another courgette here right on the corner. I don't know if this is a particularly good place for it, and unfortunately sorrow, which is doing fantastically well, have swamped the little strawberries, the edging strawberries which I planted between, so I only need to do something about that. Hi Nigel.
take the dog now, so
See you at home shortly.
this one.
Yeah. Is it working? Of course it is. So I just press the button.
No, you've got to turn it on and turn it off.
Okay,
And
can you just...
empty this one? You don't like being full up with
Okay, and then I switch it off at over there.
Yes, so switch it off and then empty it. It should.
Okay, no problem. Well, thank you.
Come on, dog.
So that's instruction given me how to water things, which I'll be doing shortly. That's why actually I came today, because yesterday we had quite a hot day, 28 degrees here. Okay. So what else is old and new? So yes, as I say, the sorrel have done incredibly well, survived the polytunnel build, but I will have to remove the strawberries from underneath because they are being swamped. And maybe reduced. We don't need that much sorrel. I would put some maybe Swiss chard and perpetual spinach each side of the polytunnel. The asparagus beds, which are now left to fern, been left to fern for quite a while now. Well, they're looking like an asparagus forest. They're still getting new prongs there. I can see behind, you see. So we're hoping for really nice crop next year. Another of my flower beds, and this one is borage and nasturtiums and some cosmos, and there were obviously zinnias, but they might have got swamped with all that borage, which is, well, we will just do this slightly differently next year. Well, we have lost all the sorry, we have lost all the what do you say, not zinnias, dahlias in a winter in this bed, and there were quite a lot. So there we go. Oh, some zinnias coming up here, so that's nice. Now, as I walk right to the end of this part of the allotment, we have some potatoes here. Some of them still flowering. These would be the must be the you know, the not secondarily the main crop. And the apple tree again all needs a little bit of weeding and sprucing up. I have not applied the certain bands on the trees to prevent the moth, and it unfortunately is visible. So back to the drawing board, and we shall look after our trees better next year. Some pumpkins which have been just recently planted, they suffer a bit, but I can see the color has come back to them. Carrots, leftover beetroots, and another courgette. That's the round courgette. And here I've got two types of sweet corn. We will remove this netting here, but I had some rabbits chomping on my sweet corn. As you can see, a couple of them have been you know, munched on, hence I've put something in till they reach the height, and then I will put a different kind of side nettings on the side. And this is two different types of sweet corn. That one was planted earlier, it's called Northern Early something, and this one is the Bantam. So, and amongst the still few onions which I grew from seeds remaining very late, so they remain till they get slightly bigger. And some turnips, they starting to bulb up, I can see that. So spring onions, that was, let me just tell you, this was onion. Oh god, this is what happens when you leave them this way up. Somebody's putting them upside down. I think it's Ali. and I will have to do that too. So this is purple spring onion lilia, so that's doing fine, and this one is white Lisbon, and there was something else, Sturon I think, on here. Couple of little sugar baby melons outside, and I have a couple of melons here too, just at the edge of the turnips, and these are the Minnesota midgets. They do look very midgety to me at the moment, but I'm sure it's not their fault, it's my fault. So remaining artichoke, the globe artichoke, and we have lovely cavallonero. The peas is finishing now, and some parsnip amongst them, so when I remove these can mature. When I remove the peas they can grow better, hopefully. Some leeks left to seed. And some Welsh walking onion right at the edge, and another forest of my lovely asparagus. Now this bed needs weeding, that won't take more than 5 minutes, and the bed which we removed the broad beans in, I left the roots. I'm just gonna top up a little bit, and tomorrow I'm planting leeks here. These are self-blanching celeries growing here, and right there at the edge is celeriac. I have no idea if we're gonna do any good with them this year. Some parsley at the edge, but in amongst them there will be leeks, and obviously the sweet peas. They've been harvested this week to death, and I'm gonna have another bunch, and I'm not complaining. Just let one more thing, I'm not complaining. Behind me here is a bed which we use. There's a couple of dahlias surviving, so I might move them later on, but I'm just excavating this, and I'm gonna put some late beetroot in this bed, and I'm trying new contraptions to prevent mice from eating my beetroot. Now this now became absolutely a forest because we've been concentrating on other parts, and that really needs to be tackled. This is one of our problem areas. We really need to give it a thought and sort it out. We've got 3 of those problem areas in this part of the allotment. So cucumbers, they're doing well. I can't remember, I watched somebody's video, I really can't remember whose, and they said plant your cucumbers again to replace those which will, you know, sort of finish fruiting. I will plant 3-4 more just in case that happens. And what we've got here, so we've got the I'm gonna harvest them tomorrow. These are the Chinese slim long. There's some more setting there. Oh, there is a really nice big one here, and some new ones forming as well behind that, and lots of cornichons and lots of the field cucumbers. I'm going to be watering them shortly. So these are the sunflowers on this side. We had a bit patchy luck this year with sunflowers, but never mind. So now we're going to go into the old part of the allotment, and again, what I'm saying, this is a problem area. This is lettuce needs to be removed, and everything really in these 2 beds. And this small area I'm gonna have as a strawberry bed. We have failed to harvest the currants at the moment, so again that will be hopefully done tomorrow. And these strawberries need a permanent bed, and these little alpine strawberries also need a bed. Now the third problem area is there. That's supposed to be my brassica cage. Well, first things first, we really needed to do that polytunnel, So the big job is done, and now we can move into more doable things. Okay, as you can see, the crop of black currants is immense. I think the red currants, the mice help themselves to that already. For some reasons they don't like the currants as much. So we will see if we have any gooseberries still left. And by contrast, I would say, okay, these are the leeks waiting to be planted tomorrow. By contrast, I would say we had some patchy luck. I mean, we had lovely peas of this New Horizon. The bed will shortly be cleared. They stopped producing. So I'm gonna harvest the rest and maybe leave some for the seed. But I actually have lots of pea seeds which needs to be used up. So we just probably clear that up and prepare it for new lettuces. This is my kales and couple of turnips, I think, here. But the red pretty one have been again annihilated by, I think it's rabbits, because other you can see these are not really, they are actually cut off at the leaf. So these are my Brussels sprouts, which also have been eaten. A couple of new seedlings of the globe artichokes grown from seeds for hopefully planting next year. You know, so this all have been had by something. Just a little sort of point of interest. This little thing, this is one of those shoots of tomatoes I just picked up and put it in a space, and yes, it's growing, and yes, it's flowering. So you don't need to have that many tomato seedlings, you can make them as you go along. This bed needs to be cleared. Lots of flowering things. Parsley, actually I really love it. Parsley, and I've got lettuces and radicchio flowering. This, yeah, some kohlrabi, some more kohlrabi left. So I'll be taking these home soon. Lovely parsley here, some more kale. Whatever it is, doesn't like this type of kale. It is more bitter. In here we have a fig tree struggling in a very large pot, but it's not loving it, so we need to find another home for it. And these are the purple tomatillo, which I think, beside, you know, the fruit, they're just incredibly ornamental, so I love them and I keep them here. And some more carrots. Now, this is what I mean. This is in 3 years, this is second polytunnel which would need replacing, and that's why putting the new polytunnel was such a matter of urgency for us. Okay, so these are the polytunnel tomato. I've done a longer video on tomatoes last week. They're doing incredibly well. I think they need, look, they need, some of them, they have leaves coming off the fruit shoot, so to speak. But they need a little bit, maybe removing a few leaves here and there and everywhere. But they're doing fine, and I've been looking at these ends of the tomatoes, and no, that's not, as I said, no blossom rot, it's just the fused tomatoes. And look, because these are all quite large. These are all quite a large beefsteak type of tomatoes. I'm only growing two Tigerellas, a smaller tomato, and Sun Gold. I like the beefsteak tomatoes. And so does Nigel, so that's what we're going for. Now, this is the runner beans. I hope we're gonna have a nice crop. This is on the way to our couple of hives, our little apiary there. So I'm hoping they will give us a reasonable crop. We have lots of these lovely oh, what are they called? Well, we have lovely nasturtiums here, And we have lovely marigold. These are the crackerjack. Well, they're very tall. You could probably do them as a cutting for your vases, which I will actually take some tomorrow. So, as I said, you can probably see these guys are, the squashes are planted in pots and then covered with hay. What I've put in those pots is mainly manure, very well rotted manure, mixed with, you know, a couple of hands of soil, and then topped up with compost, and then topped up with hay so they don't dry up. This is uchikikuri. It's forming very nicely. I've seen another one, and it's a little one, but if I just go a little bit further, sorry, lots of bindweed. Another thing on the list. Oh, look. There is a massive something forming here. I've no idea which one that is, because might not necessarily end up looking like this when it's fully matured. So this is a lovely bed of dill. Dill, which is probably with parsley, my favorite two herbs. And there's some, I don't know, I think there are turnips as well, small turnips planted here. This is the bed of tomatoes with, these are the Crimson Crush. Let me just take a step back so you can see 8 tomatoes planted there, supported by the kind of hooked up strings, with lots of marigolds growing, and some borage, which I would put next year in the pots around the allotment because it's just taking over. Okay, this is another bed of the, I actually checked because this variety, I said we have some San Marzano, which is here, just here, and these are Marnan Super Precoce, I think. So these are not, so I've got 4 of these and 4 of these, but these are incredibly prolific. So what else? The bed is the flower bed, for the first time ever, looking a bit bare. I will have to rethink my flower bed. This part, fantastic. Just look at the amount of little insects which are feasting on these verbascum. It's actually teeming with it's little fly things and bees, and I've seen a bumblebee there, and well, everything is loving that. But here, because we lost so many dahlias, the spring flowers come across beautifully, but then I have to say I put some poppy seeds, the Californian poppies, and there is some, I think, Verbena bonariensis self-seeded and so on, but I will have to rethink for more structural thing here to have next year. As you can see, mainly my Verbena bonariensis is in the paths. So again, everything needs to get sorted out. And this is flowering. Is that lettuce or is that radicchio? Well, one or the other. It looks absolutely lovely. Okay. So what else we had here? We had some brassicas, and I can't even remember what it was. It doesn't matter. Everything's been munched on. But we have some cauliflowers which are not very good. But there's little one. They're really little ones. But I know I haven't watered them. And again, something munched on the leaves. So I'm going to harvest these, clear that bed properly, and start fresh. I'm sowing actually quite lots of seeds for autumn, winter. So don't worry, these beds are not going to be empty very long. So this is not going to be as productive as I would have maybe wanted, but it's productive enough at the moment. We're doing all these things which in the future will really make our lives much easier. See different type of sunflowers. So let's just go through the wilderness to the greenhouse. Some green sleeves apples. Again, that is next on the list to be tackled because it really will self-seed everywhere. So this is where I have my double red sweet corn planted. That just happened last week, and I'm glad it did because then we had a fantastic rain and some very miserably looking squash I planted, but let's give it a chance and let's see if something will come of it. All these potatoes are lying down now because this is still first, we only harvested rocket. We still have Vilja, Charlotte, and I can't remember, Picasso, and then we have the Blue Danube, which is still flowering. But all this could be really harvested, but we're just going to go and harvest as we go along. And I have to say, it has been successful growing under the hay, and you always use the potatoes to kind of improve the soil a bit. I leave the hay in to rot over winter and then put some manure on over that in very early spring and so on. So pleased to say that both hives at the moment surviving. I've seen some bees coming out of that hive which I introduced the queen to with the pollen on its little legs, so I think they're starting to feeding the babies. But again, hopefully I'm going to look into those hives tomorrow or Monday lunchtime. Now, the greenhouse at the moment is a bit of a mess and it's completely redundant. I'm drying garlic in and shallots in, and we're clearing and sorting out the bee equipment. But soon I will be, because I'm sowing my seeds at home. So tomorrow I'm going to bring first two trays of seeds and so on. So it's going to start being useful again. It's been out of action for maybe 3 weeks, but it's going to be again sort of used as much as we can. Now the rhubarb is also completely overgrown. Well, what can I say? I shall go and water especially the tomatoes and cucumbers and so on, and my cucumbers, because I'm planning to spend here whole day tomorrow. And well, from me and from Nigel, it's a goodbye. I'm absolutely amazed if anybody stayed that long and watched that with us. And Nigel says hello always, and hopefully see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.